Anthony Joshua won, Anthony killed this guy. Listen, a lot of questions, blah blah blah. Only one my answer. Anthony Joshua is Olympic champion. Yeah. First. Jack Paul is sportsman, YouTuber, showman. Rolls Royce, Fiat.
And that's just going to make him more dangerous. He's going to be terrifying, and he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be very angry that Jake Paul wants to fight him. Knows how to keep that stick in your face. He will keep that jab in his face, and that right hand, if it hits you, you're fucked.
There's no way in my mind I can see Jake Paul getting an upset or beating Anthony Joshua. It's a whole different ball game. This guy's a heavyweight. He's an Olympian. He's a world champion. He's all these different things.
Pros are warning Jake Paul about how powerful Anthony Joshua is, especially since AJ looks his best in training camp. Experts say Joshua's size, speed, and knockout power make him very dangerous, and one small mistake could cost Jake the fight. Even though Jake has been working hard and getting better, analysts say this is a whole new level of boxing for him. Former trainer Shane Mosley agrees, saying he doesn't see Jake winning and believes Jake's biggest challenge will be just surviving, because AJ's strength and experience are far beyond anyone Jake has faced before.
Any chance that you see of Jake potentially pulling this off? Can he get the upset? And what would it take?
There's no way in my mind I can see Jake Paul getting an upset or beating Anthony Joshua. It's a whole different ball game. This guy's a heavyweight. He's an Olympian. He's a world champion. He's all these different things. And Jake Paul is moving up to heavyweight, and they say Anthony Joshua's chinny, but he's chinny with people that are real heavyweights that punch hard, not with cruiserweights or like heavyweights. So, with that being said, I mean, if Nate Diaz could take Jake Paul's punch at their particular weight, then what do you? I mean, you don't think Anthony Joshua would take Jake Paul's punch at that weight? I don't understand. I just can't see it. I think that it's a great publicity stunt, I guess, or whatever. But I can't see Jake beating Anthony Joshua. I just can't see it.
You're not training with him for this fight, right?
No, I'm not training for the first fight. If I was,
there we go. What would you tell him?
If I was training with him,
what kind of game plan, right?
I wouldn't even know what to tell him.
You'd be at a loss?
I'd be like,
would you take the job? Yes, right?
I mean, I'd take it for him not to get hurt.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna. I can't say that I would say I think he's gonna win, but I would try different ways of like maybe trying to move around or get up under him or hold him a certain way. Maybe there's something in there that he sees that he can try to exploit.
Boxing agent Sam Jones is very worried about Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua and says the fight is extremely dangerous. He warns that if AJ lands a clean punch, it could cause serious damage like the powerful shots Joshua used against fighters such as Francis Ngannou. Jones says Jake must respect Joshua's size, strength, and knockout power because one small mistake could change everything. He also explains that this fight couldn't be fixed, and if Jake somehow beat AJ fairly, it would be one of the biggest upsets in boxing history. This shows the huge gap in skill, power, and experience between them, and why experts keep warning Jake about the big risks of facing a top heavyweight like Anthony Joshua.
I think that this could go really wrong if like I say, you want him to come out, no matter what anybody thinks about Jake Paul, you want him to get out of the ring and be safe. But the reality is, if AJ hits him like same way he hit Francis Ngannou, he could brown bread him, Jim.
So some would say it's scripted. Do you go with that?
No, I don't think it is, because I don't think Eddie or AJ would participate if it was scripted. That would affect AJ's legacy. Because, for example, if AJ somehow on this earth manages to get through a few rounds, or I mean, if he wins, people are on about, oh, it's a huge no, it's the biggest upset in the history of sport, period, if he beat Anthony Joshua. I don't think you understand it, how one-sided this fight should be. We're talking about a very recent unified heavyweight champion of the world against Jake Paul, who lost to Tommy Fury. That's the reality of what we're looking at here.
You watch it?
I've never denied I'll watch it, because it's like when Simon Cowell used to get excited over magicians trying to climb out of a box. It's the jeopardy involved of trying to climb out the box, because you think, oh my life, what could go wrong here? That's what I'm watching it for the potential. I'm just being honest. I will watch it, but I just think that.
Do you think it's scripted?
No. I mean, I spoke to Eddie. Eddie thinks he'll get him out there without one big shot, but a cluster of punches will take him out. Because if he does take a big shot, like Ngannou took, he's going to get hurt, but he's going to get hurt anyway. That's the nature of the business. People do get hurt in a boxing ring. The best fighters get hurt. So he's not immune to it. The interesting thing will be is exactly how the conclusion of the fight will be and how it gets sold into the public, because people are going to fly around. I was going to go there and watch it, not because I felt the fight had any meaning, but because I wanted to understand the scale of what's going on with Netflix and what's the scale of something like this that can generate 150 million. Because there's only one reason Anthony Joshua's going in there is because someone is foolish.
Anthony Joshua is fully focused in training camp and is putting all his energy into getting ready for the Jake Paul fight. With a weight limit of 245 pounds, AJ has slimmed down and looks leaner and sharper than he has in years. He is training with top coaches and taking this fight very seriously, staying away from distractions so he can perform his best. This strong focus shows his experience as a former two-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist, proving he is fully locked in and ready to give everything on fight night.
I love it. So what am I bringing differently? I wouldn't say a new mindset, but definitely like a new perspective. But ultimately, everything new has to lead to a win. So yeah, that's what I'm focused on right now, just winning.
Chael Sonnen, a well-known MMA analyst, explains how hard this fight will be for Jake Paul. He says that even with extra tricks or advantages, Jake would still struggle because Anthony Joshua is much bigger. From the start, the fight has been shown as David versus Goliath, with a smaller, less experienced Jake facing a stronger and more skilled Joshua. While fans find this exciting, Sonnen warns that the size difference makes the fight very dangerous. Sonnen also criticizes the people promoting the fight, saying they did a poor job. He believes the hype is exaggerated and doesn't show what the fight will really be like. According to him, the big gap in size, skill, and experience makes the matchup unfair, and the promotion focuses more on drama than the real risks Jake will face in the ring.
Bisping stepped right in front of this and says there is no way on this earth that Jake Paul is going to knock out Anthony Joshua, because he's right. If they let him get in there with a shovel, he still wouldn't get the shovel to Joshua's head, and if he did, he wouldn't generate enough power to knock him out, all right? There's no way on earth, are the words of a world champion, and he's right. From a man who's half his size and had everyone talking trash on social media, to all of a sudden Jake Paul's the small guy, and he's taking on Joshua, who's towering over him. Now, what Bisping's referencing there is that when Jake Paul was preparing for this very date, for this very event on Netflix, he was getting ready for Tank Davis, where Jake himself had a huge size advantage, admitting that size matters. Just saying that my lack of experience can be balanced by me having 30, 40 pounds on you. Now, all of a sudden, that argument goes away, and that's what Bisping is speaking to. Bisping says he hits harder, referring to Joshua. He's the bigger man, talking about Joshua. He's got the longer reach. He's an Olympic champion. Jake Paul is not going to go out there and turn into a real-life David versus Goliath. That ain't happening. Everyone should know it. This fight has been frowned upon, not only because of the suggestions that the fight might be fixed, but also from people in the boxing world that look at this fight as a spectacle, a circus, a sideshow attraction. And for those reasons, this is a very dangerous match.
Joe Rogan, a respected commentator and former athlete, warns Jake Paul about Anthony Joshua's knockout power. He says that while Jake has fought former champions before, none are close to the level of an Olympic gold medalist and former heavyweight world champion like Joshua. Rogan explains that AJ's power, combined with his top-level experience, makes this fight very different and much more dangerous. He warns that if Jake underestimates Joshua, it could be costly, because he must deal not only with skill but also the huge force behind Joshua's punches.
Sparring match with a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, and then you're going to fight one of the absolute scariest knockout artists in the heavyweight division. Maybe we should watch the Francis Ngannou fight so you could see. Let's watch that real quick, just so you can see what Anthony Joshua is capable if he's fighting someone that's not in his league. Okay, look, Usyk beat him, and he beat him twice, and Andy Ruiz caught him in the first fight and dropped him and stopped him. It was spectacular. Andy Ruiz is super fucking talented. Usyk is perhaps the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time.
Heavyweight boxer Cassius Chaney shares doubts about whether the fight will really happen. He says there are still problems to solve and not enough clear information as the event gets closer. Chaney points out that fans haven't seen enough proof or official updates, so the fight could even be cancelled at the last moment. He says this kind of uncertainty is common in big fights, especially when one fighter like Jake Paul comes from outside traditional boxing, and warns that planning and promotion issues could still stop the event.
Yeah, I say, oh yeah. Like, no doubt. Like, let's go, you know, like. So I was, you know, I was excited, but to be honest with you, as the fight got closer, I started to feel a little bit like something don't feel right. You know what I mean? Like, they don't feel right. Like, they not even, we don't have flights yet. We don't know when we're leaving. You know what I mean? Little stuff like that was kind of bothering me a little bit. And that day, Wednesday, it was Wednesday, I believe. That day we got the call like, yo, you know, they going in a different direction. And, you know, it sucked.
Did you know that different direction was Jake Paul?
No, I didn't. But I wasn't surprised either, you know what I mean? Because, you know, Jake Paul, listen, you know, all these guys, they businessmen.
When I put it into comparison,
yeah,
AJ was going to fight an 8-rounder against Cassius Chaney.
Yeah.
For a 40th.
Teddy Atlas, a famous boxing trainer and analyst, gives a fair view by praising Jake Paul's hard work. He says that even though Anthony Joshua is a powerful champion and Olympic gold medalist, Jake has improved a lot for someone who started on YouTube. Atlas gives Jake credit for his effort, discipline, and training, showing real commitment to boxing. He adds that while Joshua is the clear favorite, this fight is still a big moment for Jake and shows how far he has come as a boxer.
Time heavyweight champ, gold medalist in the Olympics, bigger, stronger, professional, top fighter, top amateur, against a guy who's been doing it for 4 or 5 years. And I give credit to Paul. You know, he's worked his backside off to build this promotional machine that he has, to build this dream, you know, to make this vision come to light. Incredible businessman, and incredible what he's done in the ring. That, yeah, he's picked the spots and everything else, but he still faced danger. And he still, you know, took it serious, where he's trained his backside off and where he's improved as a fighter. You know, does that put him in the class of a top professional fighter who's been doing it his whole life? No, of course not. But does that make you at least examine it? Yes. And when I examine it, I start with a couple things. First of all, Jake Paul is pretty damn smart. He hasn't made too many mistakes. I know it was the Tommy Fury fight. That was close. But
one loss.
There's one loss. But he hasn't made too many damn mistakes. And now, I mean, the guy's been a half a genius. And so I look at it and I said, all right, I want to look at everything. Don't look at just he's going to get killed. That's the easy way to look at it. It might be the right way. It might be. But I want to look at what you touched on, now go deeper. It's been 15 months. He hasn't fought, Joshua. Last time he got in the ring, he got destroyed. He got knocked out. That's hard to overcome. There's bats in the belfry. There's ghosts in the attic. That's hard to overcome. I mean, that's there. His confidence.
Another key view comes from boxing analysts who talk about whether the fight is real and fair. They say that even though Jake Paul is known for flashy events and rumors of fixed fights, this match with Anthony Joshua will follow real professional rules. Joshua has clearly denied any tricks, and experts say both fighters will compete in a fair, official bout, ending rumors that the fight is planned. Analysts also keep pointing out the big differences in size, strength, and experience. They explain that Joshua's weight and reach give him a major advantage and allow him to control the fight. This makes it hard for Jake to land clean punches. At the heavyweight level, power matters a lot, so Jake must stay focused, defend well, and be ready for the danger of facing a much bigger and stronger opponent.
And that is the Tommy Fury loss. If you're Jake Paul, why on earth would you lose to Tommy Fury? Why would you fix losing to Tommy Fury? It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The only way I possibly could have bought that would be if there'd been some kind of immediate rematch or a trilogy set up through it where they were just trying to generate more revenue because they looked at the scene and went, we don't have enough dance partners. But in reality, it makes no sense for Jake Paul to rig losing a fight. It just doesn't. And you could argue that maybe he rigged other fights after that, but I think there's more than enough evidence to suggest that Jake Paul had enough about him to go in and actually win those fights. Which I suppose speaks to the reality of his current level of ability, which is he might actually be a little bit underrated by some people. Maybe overrated by many too, because some people think in a real fight with Joshua, he has a fighting chance of knocking Joshua out. But generally speaking, I think that maybe people just don't understand that he's actually got okay at boxing. I mean, the only thing you could argue is maybe he's overlooking Jake a little bit. He clearly thinks he's far better and that Jake can't challenge him in any way, shape, or form, which makes you worried about complacency. But even a complacent Anthony Joshua should be able to get it done in there fairly comfortably against Jake Paul. We also have to consider Anthony Joshua's existing wealth. There's boxers who have been far less commercially successful than Anthony Joshua in their careers. And I could kind of understand them maybe being tempted by an offer from Jake Paul to rig a fight and take a load of money. But it just wouldn't make any sense for Anthony Joshua, who's already extremely wealthy. As far as I know, he doesn't have any issues with gambling or any stuff like that. So whilst he doesn't need the money, it's just easy money, which means it makes you sort of think, well, this must be a real fight if it's easy money. Because the only thing that's easy for Anthony Joshua to do is to go in there and win, to go in there and smash the guy in front of him. It wouldn't be easy for him to go in there and somehow let Jake Paul win. That would be a very difficult thing for Anthony Joshua to do, I believe.
That's all for today's video. Stay tuned and we'll see you next time.